Somos el barco, somos el mar. Yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea. I sail in you, you sail in me.
And now, that's Kiko, one of the crew members from Hawaii. And before he comes to port, he's asking permission to be here. So that's what he's going to be doing over there. You might not be able to hear too well, but that's what he's going to be doing over there, asking permission to come to port here. Welcome ashore.
Like songs of the staff.
I'll do the welcome.
Yeah, we'll do the one. Just comment.
Okay, thank you for coming. Kiko, did you want to explain what you did, or is that self-explanatory?
So, back in Hawaii, when we go someplace new or someone else's place, or even if we go to the forest or the ocean, it's customary to ask permission. If there are the people, you ask permission of the people from that place. Even if there are no people, you ask permission because there are beings living in the forest and living in the ocean. But if they're not there to say, yes, please come, you have to listen more carefully. Maybe sometimes we don't go into the forest or the ocean that day. This chant was composed spontaneously by Hi'iaka Ikapoleo Helen, the goddess who is the youngest sister of Helen, the volcano goddess. There's a famous epic story where she went to the farthest island to bring back a husband for Helen. And as she went to each place, she would address these landforms, these mountains or valleys or cliffs, points of land that were originally family members that they left there on their travels to guard that place. So she addressed each of these places and said, "Here I am, arrived on Kauai. I give my voice. I wait, hearing nothing. But in this case, we heard, please come. So thank you very much."
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. Can you hold this one? Just this. Okay. All right. So my name is Sonali Knotek. I'm co-chair with Elaine Marie Kinch of the Racine Coalition for Peace and Justice. She's right here in her blue shirt. And I just want to thank you all for coming today. We are honored to have the anti-nuclear sailboat, the Golden Rule, come to Racine today. This is fantastic. This is a project of Veterans for Peace. We welcome the crew who are here today. We have Jerry Condon, and I don't know if I met him.
Right here.
Hi, Jerry. Hi. Jerry Condon, who is the president of the Golden Rule. He's a member of Veterans for Peace National Board of Directors and co-chair of the GI Resistance Working Group of Veterans for Peace. Helen Jaccard, who is somewhere, there she is. She's a project manager, and she's been exceptionally busy for the last 14 months. And then Kiko Johnston, Kitazawa is the one who just gave us the beautiful explanation. And those are the crew members who've been traveling for 14 months, but they were joined recently by Tamar Elias and Hugh Tumford, I think is how you pronounce your name. Thank you. And Josh Harvey, who is the videographer today, and also Veterans for Peace chapter, member of Veterans for Peace chapter 114 from Sheboygan. Okay. Helen, Jerry, and Kiko have been sailing for more than 14 months, traveling in central, southern, and eastern waters of the U.S., making more than 100 ports of call. These crew members have illustrious and impressive backgrounds in anti-war efforts and boat restoration. Their mission is to raise public awareness of the growing dangers of nuclear war and build support for the abolition of nuclear weapons. There will be many opportunities for you today and tomorrow to meet the crew, learn of their mission, and also visit the ship, the boat, the peace boat. The Golden Rule visit to Racine today is sponsored by numerous organizations and individuals. I don't know where the handouts are, but there were half-sheet handouts that kind of disappeared. But anyway, they are listed in the handouts that Pete is giving us, which don't really have all of the sponsors, but most of them, and we thank all the sponsors for making this a successful event. Thank you so much. And Margaret Flood from Coming Together Racine is going to come and do the land acknowledgement.
Thank you, Sonali. This is the land acknowledgement. It is with gratitude and humility that we acknowledge that we reside on the ancestral homelands of the Three Fires people, the Ojibwa, the Odawa, and the Potawatomi, as well as the historic lands of the Kickapoo, Ho-Chunk, Menominee, Miami, and other peoples who continue to cherish this land. We pay honor and respect to these ancestors and commit to act as good stewards of the land we inhabit.
Thank you, Margaret. Now we have, to welcome the Golden Rule, we have, we have the Native American flag song and a few other songs recited by the Native American Honor Guard. The two members of the Honor Guard who are here today are Micah Parmanikat, who is of the Menominee tribe, Billy Jokran from the Bad River Ojibwe tribe, and
Richard Knodel, from descendant of the Kaskaskia Nation.
there you go. All right. Thank you for coming.
Way
Let me explain to them why we have to do it.
Okay. Hello, Poso. My name's Mike Monica. I'm from the Menominee Nation in Wisconsin here. In our way, like when we sing, we bring out our drums and we sing. Our tradition is we always have to sing 4 songs. Because everything we do, we go in the way of 4s. So we got one more song, then when we're all done tonight, when we're done this evening, we'll do a closing, a traveling song for the ship.
Okay, great.
Well, thank you so much. Now we want to welcome the mayor of Racine, Cory Mason. He's here today to give us the welcome proclamation. Thank you.
Thank you. And I don't know if you want to join me up here. So good afternoon, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be here. I want to thank our guests for doing the land proclamation and the introduction to the event here today. We don't often get the opportunity to hear that, so thank you very much for doing that. I have a proclamation here that I want to read here about Golden Rule Day, but before I do, I just want to talk a little bit about why this work is so important and why it needs to persist. I'm of an age where maybe one of the last generation of Cold War kids, and I think after the Soviet Union collapsed and the Berlin Wall came down, I think a lot of people maybe forgot about how important this issue is to continue to talk about and work on and work towards peace. I have a daughter that I have named after Eleanor Roosevelt, who started her first day of high school today. And so when I think about these issues, I often think about what kind of world we'll be leaving her and her brother and sister in the years ahead. And you want it to be a world that's worth inheriting. And so we think about the work around carbon reduction, and we think about the work that we do to honor the people who came before us. But I think about what Eleanor Roosevelt once said about peace, which is that it doesn't just come, you have to work really hard at it. And as someone who spent her entire life with the United Nations and fighting for civil rights and the UN Declaration on Human Rights, I really appreciate the work that you all are continuing to do around nuclear weapons proliferation. I do think in this day and age, as there's now a war going on in Europe where Russia is the aggressor and it's a nuclear armed state, I think people are thinking about it again, maybe in ways they haven't for a long time. But I do want to recognize the work that you all have done around nuclear weapons proliferation. So I have a proclamation. One of the great things I get to do as mayor is proclaim things. So I will read it here. I'll not use the whereas every time, but begin with, whereas in 1982, as part of a statewide referendum, the residents of Racine County overwhelmingly voted in favor of a nuclear weapons freeze and reduction. And since 2017, the city of Racine has been a member of Mayors for Peace, a global organization with 8,256 cities and 166 counties and regions that promotes world peace. And the Golden Rule sailboat, a historic Veterans for Peace project, first sailed in 1958 to the Marshall Islands to stop nuclear weapons tests, believing that each individual, regardless of color, race, creed, or nationality, is sacred, and that the nuclear weapons are a grave threat to all humanity. And as the restored original Golden Rule sailboat docks in Racine for a 2-day visit as part of its 11,000-mile voyage to more than 100 cities, Veterans for Peace will share the message of the danger of nuclear weapons, draw attention to the present threat of nuclear war, and promote disarmament. Whereas I want to thank the Racine Coalition for Peace and Justice and their partners for making this possible, and encourage everyone to visit the Golden Rule to learn about the Veterans for Peace mission as they work to inspire the next generation of peace activists. So therefore, I, Mayor Cory Mason, offer an enthusiastic welcome on behalf of the residents of Racine, and proclaim September 5th and 6th Golden Rule Days, witnessed here today and signed with my signature. I just want to add one last thing as I'm looking around the crowd who's here. I see my mom is here, and I see a lot of fellow travelers around the work of peace and justice and arms proliferation. My first memory of a lot of people in this crowd here was around protesting Les Aspin and the MX missile votes. Just to give you a sense of how far back. I've been working with a lot of people in this crowd here on the peace and justice work that you do. So for the people who are here with the Golden Rule boat and the work that you're doing here, just know that you are coming into a community, if you don't already know that, to have people who have for decades dedicated their lives to the work of peace and justice. So welcome.
This is wonderful to be in a nuclear weapons-free zone, as well as a city that has been part of Mayors for Peace since 1987. 2017? Thank you. I think that, Racine is just a wonderful place to be. They've got such a great harbor, and, this marina has been so welcoming to us, and now we see that we have a whole community here that's welcoming us. And I really want to thank you for all coming out today and to be part of, now you're part of the Golden Rule family. So thank you for being here. And thank you very much for this proclamation of welcome.
Thank you.
if this is a good time, I would. Yes, thank you.
And then I think Michael wants to just explain what the songs were about. So you could go first.
Okay. So the Golden Rule was first sailed in 1958 after the United States had detonated 67 nuclear weapons in the Marshall Islands, 4,000 miles out of San Francisco. And the Congress wasn't listening to the people, the president wasn't listening. We were writing letters to the editor and people were demonstrating in the streets. And nobody seemed to be able to get the nuclear weapons testing stopped. The testing was producing radiation that doesn't exist in nature. Women were measuring their milk's radiation before feeding it to their children. And so a group of Quaker peace activists bought the Golden Rule and sailed here with the intention of making it right into the nuclear weapons testing zone in the Marshall Islands. When they got to Honolulu, resupplied and headed out, the crew was arrested and spent 2 months in jail. Another boat did take over and made it all the way to the Marshall Islands. But the anger and the frustration of the people who were trying to get the nuclear weapons stopped brought about a huge backlash. And it was so big that eventually President Kennedy signed the Limited Test Ban Treaty of 1963, only 5 years later. And this boat inspired the founding of Greenpeace and other activist boats that sailed since then. So the Golden Rule was sold in 1958 and didn't appear again until 2010 when in far northern California she sank in a gale and was brought up and restored by Veterans for Peace, and they decided they wanted to restore her to her mission of nuclear abolition. So 2015, the Golden Rule was relaunched into the waters of far northern California, and we sailed up and down the California coast. And then when Presidents Trump and Kim were threatening each other's countries with nuclear annihilation, we decided it was time to go back out into the Pacific and see what we could do again to stop the possibility of nuclear war. We made it to the Hawaiian Islands and sailed around there for almost 2 years. We were completely ready to go, but it was March of 2020, and this time COVID stopped us from going to the Marshall Islands. So we brought the Golden Rule back to California and decided to fulfill the dream of the people who had rebuilt her for those 5 long years and try to get to all of the navigable waters of the United States. So a year ago, we brought the Golden Rule to Minneapolis and sailed down the center of the country, around the tip of Florida, and spent 10 days in Cuba. And then we've sailed all the way up the East Coast and back down and through the Hudson River and Erie Canal and up into the Great Lakes. And now we're here just about finished with our tour. This is stop number 98, I believe. And at stop 100 will be Chicago. And then we'll put her on a truck and take her back to Northern California to her home port. So our message is in support of the United Nations Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons and other measures that we can take to bring us back from the brink of nuclear war. And wherever we go, we have local people working on nuclear issues and speaking to these issues. So we will have an opportunity to hear from local people about what you're trying to do to stop the nuclear madness and get us back on track to life-fulfilling work instead of weapons of mass destruction. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Helen. We are going to have Michael come and quickly explain the meaning of the songs that he sang, and after that we'll have about half an hour or so. If you wanted to chat with the crew, visit the boat, that'll be the time to do that. But Michael is first going to explain the meaning of the songs that they sang. Thanks.
Well, Poso, like I said, the first song we sang is our version of the national anthem. That's a native verse, like your national anthem. This is our national anthem song. We sing that at all powwows, all gatherings, and that's when we bring out our Eagle staffs. Second song we sang, we were honoring the veterans, because they may give up a lot so we could be here today at these gatherings. If it wasn't for these veterans, there would be no gatherings. Third one was just a traditional song, was a bear song, honoring the bear, because the bear is the main creature in our log. He's the top one. And we got one more song, but we'll do that after you all take a tour on the bus. Because in our traditional way, we always have to sing 4 songs before we could quit. So we don't like to leave it hanging, so we did 3. And when a little bit, we'll do the last one for the ship. So we're winding.
Very good. Thanks, everyone. So feel free to walk around, look at the boat, talk to the crew members, and have fun.
Somos el barco, somos el mar. Yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea. I sail in you, you sail in me. The rain sings it to the river sings it to the sea sings it to the boat that carries you and me. Somos el barco, somos el mar. Yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea. I sail in you, you sail in me. Now the boat that we are sailing on, it was built by many hands, and the seas that we sail upon touches many lands. Somos el barco, somos el mar. Yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea. I sail in you, you sail in me. So with our hopes we'll raise the sails and face the wind once more. And with our dreams we'll chart the waters never seen before. Somos el barco, somos el mar. Yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea. I sail in you, you sail in Somos el barco, somos el mar. Yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea. I sail in you, you sail in me. I sail in you, you sail in me.